In this video, we're going to take a look at modeling the arms of our character. So the first thing we want to do is select these two faces here. We're going to go to our front view to take a better look at this. The edge here breaks up his chest. So this edge really is, so if you're modeling your own character, the line here should be just below the armpit. So this whole section will really be in respect to the arm area. So I'm just going to go to Shift right click, Extrude Face. And I'm just going to extrude this face in going this way. And what that does is it creates a socket for the arm to come out of. And I'm going to pull that out a little bit. And then I'm just going to hit G or Shift right click, Extrude Face again. I'm going to hit W and pull this out. Now in this particular step we have a socket that our arm's coming out of, and what we're doing is we're sort of creating the shoulder area. So this is the top of our shoulder. So these three verts here, I'm going to shift select all three, are sort of the base of the shoulder, and then this is the center of the shoulder. So if I go to my front view to kind of illustrate this, I select those three and I pull them up this way. And I'm going to go to the perspective view, and I'm going to select these two guys. I'm going to pull them down, and select these two guys, pull those down. And since our character is in T-pose mode, that's what kind of creates the shoulder. So let's kind of create more of a circular shoulder area coming out this way. Something like this. And let's pull this up as well. And pull these two guys down. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and select these two faces here. Go to my front view. And I'm going to extrude out the sleeve of the shirt. So I'm going to Shift right click, go to Extrude Face, hit W, pull these forward and hit R and flatten these out. Alright, let's go to X-ray mode so we can see this a little better. I'm going to go to Vertice and pull this up. Pull these verts in. Now what's nice about this is you have all of this room to sort of play with the design of the shirt. So what I'm going to do is, notice how I grabbed those two verts and pulled it up. I'm really just going to start rounding out what I have. Because the human body is sort of complex, or not sort of, it really is complex, you always want to sort of be working in this this way where you're constantly tweaking verts, looking for roundness and organicness. Okay. Now, later on, don't be too afraid that there's not enough geometry in the chest area. We've got a pretty good setup here where we can, if we wanted to, just Shift right click and, or I'm sorry, if we go to Object mode, we just Shift right click, Insert Edge Loop, and we can run a loop across this way for the chest and the shoulders to better round that out. We're not going to do that right now. We're just going to sort of work with what we have to really tweak his body for now. Alright, so let's go to our front view here. And I'm just going to grab these verts and pull them a little closer in here. He's not a very muscular character, he's just a kid. So his shoulders don't really go out that far. So a little something like this. What we can do now is we're going to go to perspective mode and take off X-ray mode and sort of see how that looks. Oops. It doesn't look terrible, it looks pretty good. You can use some shaping to kind of give him a little bit cooler effect, but for now that looks good. Remember, we're building a low res proxy character. Alright, looks pretty good. So at this point what we're going to do is again select these two faces here, extrude them in. I'm going to hit R, go to my front view. I'm hitting W here, Shift Extrude again, or you could hit G to redo last action. And I'm just going to scale in a wrist. And I'm going to extrude two more times. So G, and I'm going to extrude just after the thumb, and G one more time at the tip of the fingers. Let's go to perspective mode and let's shape this out a little bit better. Now the wrist itself is a little bit thinner. So I'm going to scale that in, and the hand comes out a little bit wider. Now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to form out a hand and a thumb area. So let's tackle the thumb area because it's a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do here is, if you look at your own hand, your thumb sort of comes out at the base of your wrist here. So what we're going to do is go to face mode, select these two faces, shift, extrude face, and we're going to create a socket like that. Alright, I'm going to hit W here and sort of pull that a little bit. And that's going to help round out our hand a little bit better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit G and then W, pull out that thumb, and shape it a little better. So let's grab these verts. Now it's probably the best thing would be to use actual hand reference. Looks like I keep missing this guy here. Okay. And I'm just going to select these two guys, pull them in. Gives me a nice curve. And pull these guys in. And again, I'm just sort of using what I have to kind of create a circular thumb like that. Alright, looks good. For now, I'm not going to add additional edge loops yet, but I will. So I'll pull this down and back. And that when I add another loop in, it's going to give me that nice curvature of the thumb. Okay, so let's take a look at these fingers. For now, I'm going to go ahead and drop a triangle in the top of his hand. And the reason why that's okay is because there's no deformation of the top of his hand that's going to happen. It's all going to be based here. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and fan this out and then pull these two edges back so it's in the shape of sort of a glove. So something like this. And then what I'm going to do is sort of, let's pull these back a little bit more. Yeah, so something like this. Now this area here is your knuckle area. So you're going to have to play with the length of the fingers of your character. So let's go ahead and go to object mode, shift right click, and grab your split polygon tool. And then in this knuckle area, we're just going to create a triangle there, and then connect it here. I'm going to hit G again, and do the same thing here, and connect it here. Alright. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to face mode, select all of these faces, and shift right click, extrude face. Now what we want to do is make sure that we keep faces together off, and that's right here. So I'm just going to type a 0 here, and I'm going to scale that down and in. And what you'll notice is if I hit W here and I pull these out, it creates that little fatty area in between the fingers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit G again, and then pull these fingers out a little bit. Now, if you look at your own hand, these are drastically the wrong size, like in width and thickness and everything. So starting with our pointer finger, which is the second longest, I'm just going to pull that forward a little bit. Again, sort of adjusting the shape. My middle finger is the longest finger, so I'm going to pull that a little bit wider, further out. Or I'm sorry, the ring finger is the second longest. So let's select that face, kind of pull that forward. Okay, and let's kind of tweak this a little bit. Alright, and then our last finger is our pinky. Now let's take a look at this from the top. So I'm going to shift right click, or I'm sorry, spacebar, right click on the word Maya, and go to my top view. Alright, and we look at this. We want to kind of keep this straight. Tweak the wrist a little bit, pull this back, pull these knuckles. Again, we're just trying to shape our hand so that it's sort of pleasant looking. We don't want our fingers too wide. Let's kind of pull this in a little bit. So we want a smaller pinky, like that. Now, what I want you to notice what I'm doing here is I'm still fanning out the fingers. Because later when we go to unwrap these, you won't have enough space in here to paint in the textures. So next thing we want to do is make sure that we've got enough room here. Doesn't look too bad. This is a little too pinched. Yeah, something like that. Just a little bit. Alright. So for proxy model, that's looking pretty good. Alright. In the next video, what we're going to do is tackle the head model.